Hey guys, and welcome to the On the House podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Lando Petrie. Excited to have you on today with me. So today we've got a great topic to talk about, and that's going to be equity. And we're going to get to that in just in a minute. But as always, we're going to start with the hat. And today I've got the greatest minor league baseball team in the history of minor league baseball on my hat. That would be my hometown team, the Columbus Clippers. Longtime affiliate of the New York Yankees, now the AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Guardians. Awesome stadium, great prices, dime a dog night, can't beat it. All right, well, with that being said, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today, and that's equity and how a customer could utilize equity and to really make financial gains, create generational wealth, and to help us drum up some business at a time that may be a little lean. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? Who the heck's going to want to refi, tap into this stuff, touch their equity at a time like this? I get it. Rates suck. I know it. You know it. Customers hear it. It's the truth that we're dealing with right now. But with that being said, the people in our industry who are doing the most business, who are making the most deals, they have clients refinancing. They're calling, they're speaking, they're talking to individuals about this item. And the main thing is that they take one thing to heart. We got to remember our title has advisor in it. We have to advise. We have to speak to people and provide them opportunities that they may not understand. And we're going to talk about a few of those ideas and things that will help you become more well-rounded and understand the opportunities you can provide to your client. So let's first start with what is equity, right? Equity is going to be the difference between what you owe in the home and the value that it would appraise for, right? So some people look at it as a percentage of ownership and increase in value over time. To me, I look at equity the same way as I look at a term in sports, and it's potential. We hear all the time, people have potential, they have all these things that they can go towards, but untapped, it does nothing for you. It's the same way with equity. What good does equity do unless you intend to sell your house? If you intend to sell your house, absolutely. Equity is going to increase the value you command, which is going to give you a larger down payment to go on towards the next property you intend to buy. But if you have a client who isn't looking to buy for a long time, maybe not looking to buy ever again, is sitting in a situation where they're not going to leave, or they have the house that they need that meets their financial needs for the foreseeable future, why aren't we talking to them about opportunities that they can use to take that equity and make it something even better? So let's discuss a few of those opportunities, right? So the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to talk about a sign of the times. Right now, times are tough. People have been losing their jobs. The economy's hard. Things are expensive. Let's be honest. The people that fall into trouble aren't individuals with large savings who have really done well, forecasted properly, and put a bunch of money away. It's individuals living paycheck to paycheck. It's people that are, hey, times are tough, times are lean, that lose their job and fall behind. It's not intentional, but they miss payments. They have a hard time keeping up. They have to decide what's most important to pay. Well, what if I told you I could get you $50,000 out of the equity of your house? Sure, is your rate going to be in the sevens? Absolutely. You're going to pay 7% on it. But we could put that into a high yield savings account that's going to net you between 4 to 5% interest. Theoretically, that's going to give you a 3% return every month. It's an insurance policy. That's what it is. Those types of policies, so that $50,000 in a high yield savings account is going to net you anywhere between $2,200 to $2,500 a month. That's a year. That's $200 a month, $180 to $200 a month. That's a 3 to 4% insurance policy every month. That's bills paid for a minimal increase out of your monthly housing payment. That's money we put away. Now, is everybody going to see it that way? Is everybody going to think, hey, this is a great opportunity? No. But for some of our clients, some of our individuals, some people that are just having a tough time right now, $200 extra a month keeps the lights on. It changes things dramatically. And it's an opportunity for them to make minimal change. They don't have to get a second job. They can spend the time at home. But there's things that we can do to utilize a large asset they have that's going untapped to bring them this opportunity to provide some relief, to give them a security blanket that otherwise may not be there. So these are the types of things to think about that your clients aren't thinking about when they're stressed, when they're at home, they're looking at these things. So while we have opportunities like this, there's also opportunities that we have from programs and things that are available to us that people don't know exist, or other individuals at this time aren't selling to their clients or informing their clients about because they're afraid of the negative connotation that comes around with interest rate. Well, let's look at one monumental thing that's going to affect a ton of people that happened at the beginning of this month. Student loan payments are no longer in deferment. Man, I can't remember the last time that I had to actually get documentation to tell you what a payment was on a student loan, right? They have been deferred. They've been kicking that can down the road for years. Well, now these payments are back in full swing. What do you think happened over the last decade when these things kept being deferred? Those people with those student loan payments who weren't paying on them acquired debt. They bought houses. They bought cars. They bought other items that require monthly payments without thinking long term down the road. What is that going to look like when my student loans become due? Because they weren't due. It fell out of sight, out of mind. I mean, let's be honest. Americans aren't the greatest at saving money and thinking financially, right? It's just not our super strong suit. So no fault at all to these individuals, but that's some of the thought process that we have to think about. Well, one thing you need to know is that Fannie Mae has a fantastic program that these people could take advantage of, and that's the Student Loan Cash Out Refinance Program. Basically states as long as a student loan is paid off in full, whether from the proceeds from the equity or the proceeds from the equity and some funds out of pocket from the client, they will provide your customer standard rate and term rates. That's a huge benefit on the LLPAs. That means there are several pricing adjusters that no longer come into play that drop the rate even lower than what a standard cash out refinance rate would be. So they would get the same rate and term rate I would as if I had to remove someone for title or just strictly needed to refinance for personal or legal reasons. They would not only get that benefit, but they could tap into the equity that they have in their house to pay off these high interest student debts. This could provide serious relief for individuals. This can take something off of their monthly plate that they're looking to have to consolidate, make a payment, kick out, take a loan out for, some other types of items, and provide them monthly savings that they can put towards their family endeavors. These are all things that our clients aren't normally talking about or aren't really understanding. So we need to educate them. So the first thing I would be doing is I would be going back through my pipeline. I would look at all the old former credit reports I had and individuals that bought houses in the last 2 years, 3 years, right? Seeing what we can do, even going back farther than that, seeing what we can do to consolidate these student loan debts and save them more than their mortgage would increase in their monthly out-of-pocket expenses. That's the thing to think about, right? Right now, Americans who own a home have more equity in that property than they have had ever before. House prices have increased, things have gotten competitive, and because of that, our customers have gained equity. If they're not using it and they're not selling their house, it's going to waste. Why let an asset that can financially benefit you go to waste? So you think about this, right? Think about what those payments on those loans look like. Chances are that monthly expense is not equal to the monthly amount your mortgage would increase by adding that balance to what you financed over 30 years. Effectively, the rates, while high on mortgages, are still historically low. Look how much lower they are than the payments on student loans, than the payments on credit cards, all of those things that carry negative rates with them and bad debt. We can do these things to put stuff into place. It's a simple, easy conversation, right? Minimal to low costs, as you know, it's a reissue of title, things like that. Most title companies and stuff like that can work to repull the policy and reissue it, saving your customers some money on the costs available to them. But all of these are items that we should be discussing. We would be working with my team, right? I have calls with my team, with other loan officers in the industry, and discuss strategy to find out, what they're doing, what they're thinking will work, so we can formulate a plan to better educate our customers. Because at the end of the day, even if the customer says no, that's okay, right? It's their decision, it's their money, it's their life. But I'm calling them, I'm providing options, I'm staying top of mind, right? I'm making sure that they understand, hey, our transaction didn't end when you bought this house. I'm here to support you going forward on anything and everything you need. And if there are opportunities that I think exist to save you money, I'm going to call out with you. That's how you create a relationship. That's how you get people coming back to you. So while these things are great and they can save money, you will find clients when they hear the amount of money that they're able to save, that interest rate now no longer sounds as intimidating. Because if I could save $300 to $450 a month, the cost associated with this transaction will be covered in a short amount of time. And that's the key, right? You figure out what's the difference in the payment. How much are they saving monthly? What did they net? How quickly do they recuperate the entire cost for these things? Right? It's very similar to how we do the mathematics behind points, what the recapture rate is and all those things. But we've got to understand too, when we're talking to these people about these processes, we need to look at the overall effective interest rate. What is the actual median rate you're paying on your high-end debt? That includes these student loans, includes the credit cards, includes any other thing that you've financed at an absorbently higher rate. What is the average rate of those items? I guarantee you it's at least 4, if not to 8% higher than what the rate would be on your house. The other thing is, too, those rates aren't necessarily negotiable. Right? You can't go back and renegotiate what your credit card rate is. No, you pay it off or you move the debt to another line that's easier. Remember, mortgage rates are temporary. Your home is forever, right? The financial freedom you can provide yourself is always going to be there. We don't have to stay in this current rate forever, but I can alleviate debt and save you money right now, when times are the toughest, when things are the most expensive and people are living more to paycheck. Providing some relief, some less stress, and a pathway to be able to accomplish what they want to do and live their life the way they want to right now. And then down the line, when times change, we take care of you again. We address your situation and we look at it from that point. These are all kinds of conversations that you can be having with people that can help save you funds. So that's one thing to think about, is what goes into those items that, that we take into it. So this provides some sense of financial freedom. And I can tell you, as someone who's been in it a long time, from, HARP all the way through the different programs they've had, the feeling that someone gets when they're able to lower their monthly expenses to a point where they're no longer stressed, that's a customer who's going to relay your information, talk about you, and refer you to individuals in a way that no other source of marketing will, because it's an actual physical impact. You've changed their emotions, you've affected their reality, and you've given them a light at the end of the tunnel that they didn't know they had before. So that's one thing to think about when we're talking about equity. The other thing to think about when we're talking about equity is someone who's looking at generational wealth. Now, what is generational wealth? It's something that you can pass down to generations to generations to generations, right? It's a long-term game. So I want to talk to you about some ideas and some things to think about that can help an individual generate generational wealth. So let's take an example that I had recently with a customer, let's say about 1.5 years ago. Client buys a house. During the conversation of getting to know this client and navigating the competitive market, I understand exactly what his goal is. Hey, we just got married. We're going to have some fun. We're looking to start a family in the next 3 years. All of these things were stuff that he had discussed, right? This individual was fortunate enough that they had a decent amount saved. They were also getting a gift from family to go towards the down payment of their house. What did this mean? It means that they walked into a situation where they had more equity available to them than what your standard first-time home buyers would be. So I discussed with them and I talked with them about a plan. And I said, what if we could find a way in the next couple of years to create a type of income stream or long-term income game that's going to pay for your kids' college easily, wherever they want to go to school, community college or Harvard, right? And he's like, I'm interested in this. Talk to me. And I said, okay, you guys told me what your monthly payment wanted to be. We're well below that. So your comfort level still has a little way to go up. So I talked to him about, hey, and 2.5 years, we're going to look to take all the equity out of this house. We're going to pull out every penny we can. And then what we're going to go do is we're going to go buy an investment property. And we're going to get you that investment property. And we're going to make sure that that investment property cash flows. So that's important. Why is it important that it cash flows? Well, because as long as someone else is paying the interest, you effectively don't care what the rate is. Who cares? I'm not paying it. So we're going to make sure that there's no out-of-pocket expense for you. But we're going to buy you a vessel that is just going to continue to go up in value. And we're going to keep that home. And then when your kid is 18 years down the line, and at the time to get ready to go to college, we have an option. We have something that's probably close to being paid off that we can turn over to them, that they can have cash flow to pay their college expenses. Or we can liquidate this, get a much larger lump sum than what we put into the house to obtain it, and use that money to cover their college expenses or whatever they're looking to do with their life at that time. It's a great investment strategy that I would tell to any individuals who are buying a house, and looking to possibly start the family venture a couple years from now, is why not tap into that equity to acquire a property that you can use to change your child's financial future in 18 years, right? So that's one way and one idea to look about it, and have these conversations with it. Because if you plant a seed, you nourish it, it gives them something to think about, right? There's other ways, 529 plans, families do things like that. But most of those, what kind of appreciation are they going to get in 18 years compared to the appreciation that real estate has? I think we all understand those things are significantly different than any other type of asset out there. So just something to think about when you're talking to real estate partners, you're talking to potential buyers, you're talking to friends, families who have questions about these things. This is all a vessel that we can use to be able to go ahead and create generational wealth. So there's another part of this too, right? This would be a little bit more for someone who's looking to be a savvy real estate investor. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people over the years, many times, some of which it completely changed their mind at how they looked at the portfolio of their business. Others decided it wasn't the avenue they wanted to go. But when you talk about people who are buying rental properties and things like that, a lot of times they're always talking about cash flow. How much money can I make a month? And while having money in your pocket every month is outstanding, completely agree with it. I'm a big fan of it. What's the long-term play I can use to make even more money? And that's where it comes into play, right? So I remember 10 years ago, I had an individual who called me, helped him buy an investment property, helped him buy another investment property like 8 months down the road. And then he kept telling me, he's like, well, I want to pay this off. I want to get as much money as I can monthly, all of these things, right? Wanted to have that money come in. And I started talking to him, and, I said, leave his name out of it. I said, look, you have a good job. You're young. You're not looking to retire or quit working. He's like, no, I just want to. I was like, why are we worrying about how much money a month you get from this rent? I said, where are you putting that money? Stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs. I said, nothing that's going to do the same for you that we can building your portfolio and obtaining more homes. So I started to tell him, I was like, look, we need to tap into the equity in these homes. We need to start pulling money out of these houses. Every time they get to a point where we could pull out equity, you have enough to tap. I said, let's get it and let's go buy another house. Because at the end of the day, who cares what the interest rate is? Who cares what the payment is? As long as your rent that you're receiving from that individual in that home and that property is rented, you have no out-of-pocket expense. There's no skin off your game. I don't care if my interest rate was 11.5%. As long as the person that's renting that property is paying it, I don't care. I don't actively feel it. I am borrowing that money for free. There is no financial impact to me out of pocket whatsoever for what that rate or payment is. It is covered by the individual renting my property. So I feel no skin off my bones. But now I've obtained another home. So instead of having two houses, now I have three. So pretty soon I'm going to take that three and I'm going to take it four. And I'm going to continue this process to gain as many properties as I can by using the equity derived from these income generating properties. Doing this creates a long-term mass amount of wealth, because no offense, but the money you're going to make monthly off a rental property is not going to be the same to how much that house is going to be worth more than you paid for it in those short amount of times. And getting more and more homes will generate you more wealth long-term than the amount of rent you receive. Because if you think about it, right, if I'm here in Central Ohio, you average rent's between $1,200 to $2,000. So I'm making $24,000. It's gonna take me, and that's before taxes, other things like that. But if I buy a house for $100,000, I hold on to it for 15 years. Chances are that $100,000 house is selling for close to $300,000 to $325,000. That's a massive return on my investment in a short amount of time. Now I've done that 3-4 times. Now we're talking about me having $1 million in income, $1 million in profit that I've got that I can turn into high yield savings and other things. That's money that can be put into different things for retirement that no other avenue of investment is going to provide you. So it's changing their mind and getting them to think differently about what the power that they have in that equity in their home can actually be used for, that really can change their life forever. And getting comfortable talking about these things, explaining these things, and educating your client is just taking your game to the next level. So I encourage you, right? Meet with people, talk to financial advisors, talk to real estate investors, and find out some of their strategies, how they got to where they were, what they capitalized in. Speak to individuals who have been in the industry longer about leveraging the power of equity to change people's lives. Because at the end of the day, when you're sitting on the largest asset you own, and that asset is not doing anything to make you money, it's only costing you money, you're utilizing it the wrong way. And I think that's the key to think of, people here, right? Your home can make you money. And for the individuals who are doing it the best, it's making them good money. It's providing them security. It's getting them other things in life that others don't have. It's creating wealth in a portfolio they can pass on to their children, to their children's children. It's taking care of college expenses. It's providing financial freedom that other individuals who aren't accessing it don't have. So that's the main thing, guys, is to think outside the box. Times are tough right now. Homes aren't selling. There's little inventory. Things are competitive. Offers are multiple. Cash is king. But at the same day, you have a book of business that you've had for years where clients have more equity in a huge, large asset that they can use to change the trajectory of their financial futures at their fingertips. And if you're not calling, you're not talking about it, and you're not taking advantage of it, all you're doing is missing out on opportunities that your competitors are cashing in on. Don't stand on the sidelines. Now's the time to get in the game. The best thing it's going to do for you is get you a few deals now that become deals you can refinance later. And it's going to let your clients know that when it comes to their financial future of their homes, you're the individual who has their best interest in mind. It's a tried and true practice. It works. It's worked for years. Appreciate your time today, guys. Enjoy it. Have a good one.